I love feeling. And I think feeling reminds us we're alive, which I know is so wild and like kind of out there. But I think in our day to day, we're moving so fast and we forget to just like stop. And I find that sad songs have this tendency to make me just stop and like take you back to something that you experienced. And we've all experienced heartbreak. It's one of probably the most universal feelings out. And as much as those can be very challenging moments for us, I find that those are some of the moments that have really shaped us into who we are today.
I'm just going to officially welcome you to Pop-Up Conversations. We're here in Toronto. What we do here is to try and talk to artists, Canadian artists in the GTA and far beyond, across the country, about their music journey and all that they're doing in trying to improve their craft and their career. And we couldn't be more excited to have you on the show, Parker Graye. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. This is so exciting. And I love that you guys are doing this, and it's so important to do this. And I think showcasing all that Canada has to offer is like so important to us and the world. So thank you for doing what you do.
Awesome. I think I'm going to come back to what I've noticed since I started following you, but you just have a very infectious personality, and it just beams through. So we're gonna. So I'm really excited. It makes what we do, or makes what I do, a lot easier during conversations and stuff. So thank you so much for who you are, I guess.
I'm a firm believer in being like as authentic as you can be, and I mean, life is too short and you don't want to waste your days, and I'm definitely a loose cannon sometimes.
No, I know for certain that you're a great lyricist, and I want to get a sense. I always like to start off by asking people how they found music, or how music found them, whichever happened first. So if you could take me through that journey. I know you did pop at a time, and you did other styles of music before you landed on country. But if you could take me through that journey, I'd very much love to hear your story.
Yeah, so my parents are not musically inclined in any fashion. My mother cannot hold a tune if her life depended on it. The second chorus of a song, she always hit reset. So the one person most musically influential was my aunt, who actually passed away when I was in high school, and she was an integral piece into me jumping into like my creative soul, I guess you can say, for lack of better words. And I was a dancer growing up, and I was in plays, and I would like perform to my family, who probably were so tired of hearing me sing Celine Dion they would have rather put a broom in my mouth. But I have loved music since I was a kid, and I think I really struggled as a teenager emotionally. And I think looking back, like that, there was definitely probably some serious issues with depression and anxiety, and I turned to music in so many ways. And I always knew that this had a stronger hold on me than I even really knew about. And I loved singing, and it was always an outlet. And I pursued music for a lot of years in different ways, in a way that you can as a teenager before social media. I wish I was a teenager now, honestly. TikTok, you have Instagram. We didn't have that. I was on MySpace. Like, MySpace I wasn't in a place where I could promote my music through like leveraging other producers or other artists, and I didn't know what the lane was. And I wanted to go to school for recording arts, and my dad said no. So
Just straight up no.
No, I don't think he understood that it could be like a legitimate career. I mean, my parents understand. I mean, it's not their fault. But fast forward to when I moved to Vancouver, which was almost 10 years ago, and the day I landed here, it was like all of the music worlds collided, and I met the right people at the right time, and that kind of helped me sort of start my journey to making this a career, which is why I moved here. Seems strange when I'm from Aurelia. Could have moved back to Toronto, but yeah, where we are. And like you said, I was in kind of like pop rock, electro, and then I did more pop. And Do Over, which was my debut single, was actually the catalyst to me really realizing my roots again and bringing me back to what I listened to my whole childhood. I mean, my mom had the country station on anywhere we went, if it was in the house, and I always looked up to those artists. And Once I wrote Do Over, I was like, oh yeah, this is my place. This is where I write stories. This is where I'm going to find my voice. Not only like a vocalist, but as a lyricist.
Awesome, awesome. I want to go. There's a you have an interesting way you put on your Instagram page. I'm sure people have asked you a lot about that. Again, we're gonna delve more into country music, but just the genre itself, it lends itself to storytelling. But you say you're making country music sad again. Was that what you put on there? I think I also listened to an interview where you said you loved heartbreak and stuff like that, or rather sad songs, writing sad songs. What is it about writing sad songs do you think appeals to what you do right now in this phase of your career?
Well, first off, I'm really good at getting my heart broken. I'm super great at getting myself into situations that are probably not going to pan out well. Makes for great content. You know what? I love feeling. And I think feeling reminds us we're alive, which I know is so wild and like kind of out there. But I think in our day-to-day, we're moving so fast and we forget to just like stop. And I find that sad songs have this tendency to make me just stop and like take you back to something that you experienced. And we've all experienced heartbreak. It's one of probably the most universal feelings out. And as much as those can be very challenging moments for us, I find that those are some of the moments that have really shaped us into who we are today. And it's part and parcel to like the growth that heartbreak gives, and then also just like feeling that and being able to relate to someone and something in a story that has nothing to do with you, but you a sad song or a heartbreak song and you're like, oh man, I know all about that. And it just has a way of captivating you and taking you back to a specific place. And I just really love those moments where someone's like put the knife in
and twist it just a little bit.
I love those moments. I obsess over those moments in songs, and I think I really try to find those in songs when I'm writing as well and make them as relevant as possible and genuine as possible.
Awesome, awesome. That's a fantastic answer. Okay, I want to talk about Do Over now because that was my introduction to you. I think I was listening to a playlist on Spotify, and then you came on. And oftentimes when I listen to Spotify, and you know, songs come on and they go, and very often, or rather very rarely, do I pick up the phone wherever it is to say, okay, who's this artist singing? And that happened with you. And I'm like, okay, I need to
Goosebumps.
You know, it caught my attention. I picked up the phone, and that's where I got my introduction to you, and I started trying to track you down to do this. But just tell me the journey about Do Over. I understand it's like a watershed moment for you where the song was written and you were like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the genre I'm supposed to be doing. So if you could take me through that process of the song itself, how it came about, and how you guys created it.
Yeah. So at the time I was producing a pop single, and I was in LA. I was very fortunate enough that I got to produce a pop single out of Capitol Records with a producer. And when I was there, I was posting stuff on social just as like a bit of a PR play and like to show I was working on stuff. And a guy by the name of John Strandell started following me, and he instantly became like my big brother, my big little. And he clicked, and we started talking about songs. And at the time, I was doing a lot of what I consider like A/B testing of lyrics on my Instagram. So I would first off give myself the challenge of, okay, you have 5 minutes, you have to come up with a lyric, and then you post it to your Instagram stories. So one, I was really bad at committing the lyrics at the time, so this was my exercise in making me like be more committed. Post these, and then what the lyrics that got the most traction, or people would be like DMing me about them or being like, oh, it makes me so sad, I would save them in a folder and use them for co-writes later. And John had messaged me, and he was like, hey, we really want to write with you, like, can we hop on Skype? And this was before like Zoom co-writing was a thing. Like this was back in like 2017.
Uh-huh.
And, so we wrote the song as we were entering the writing session, he was like, hey, can you send me a bunch of those screenshots of the songs that you've been doing? He's like, there's this one about like a do-over. Can you explain that? And I was like, yeah, it's you're a kid and you're playing hide and seek and someone finds you too fast and you're like, I want a do-over. I want a do-over. I'm like, I want to take that scenario and turn it into something that like young adults and adults can relate to in a relationship format. And do-over was about a relationship. So do-over before you leave and the next song to come out, there's a little hint. They're all about the same guy. And at the time I was dating him, it was very tumultuous. It was in and out. There was just so much uncertainty. And I felt as though had we been able to just hit reset and have a do-over, everything would have been fine. If we could clean slate, erase everything that happened and that things that were said or unsaid, maybe it would be different and we could start on a better foot.
Okay.
So it was kind of, that was like the first song that I was like, oh, I'm truly writing about stuff that matters to me and stuff that is like important to me and that I've experienced. And I hadn't really done that before Do-Over. And so that was definitely the catalyst to this, this whole journey.
Awesome. And I know the reception was quite something, right? Overwhelming. You got like 25,000 streams and, you know, people were able to key into that. What did that tell you about what you had created? Like, what did it do for, you know, your career so far?
Yeah. So Do-Over, I went into that thinking I'm independent. It's my debut single. I'm going to push it as hard as I can. I mean, I do all my own PR, all my own radio, everything that exists in the world. From a promo standpoint, I put my heart and soul into. And I'm going to try so hard and put as much effort into this as I can.
Yeah.
Still expecting that it could fall flat. And this that I started noticing that I was promoting the release, people were like, we're excited. And I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like, this is real. This is going to happen. Like, people are going to hear my sadness in a song in places. So the second that it went live and I just was watching streams every single day on Spotify, I was like, this is bananas. Like, what is going on? And I didn't expect it. I did not expect to get that instant of a response and for people to be so excited about that release as much as I was. I mean, Casey Clarke jumped on board and he featured me in the countdown and gave me raving reviews. I posted a video on my Instagram. I was just like crying because it was so but that told me that I was like, I'm on to something. And in all the moments where my doubt starts to stream in, because as artists, I think we're doubting ourselves, and if we're not running with blinders on, we're just paying attention to what everybody else is doing and their success, and Lord knows I'm very guilty of that, but I try to go back to the release of Do-Over often and remind of what that did and what that felt like, because I can have that again, and you will continue to have success as long as you keep doing it and being persistent. So I use Do-Over as like my reminder, my reset to be like, hey, there's going to be songs that don't hit. There's going to be posts that don't hit. There's going to be shows that don't hit. But you can always do this again. And it's almost like, in an odd way, it's like you can always have a do-over. Like there's always not, like that was kind of like a dad joke, but it's true. Like you can always do something again and get a different result if you change the way that you've approached it.
For sure. I think you know, I'm in that school of thought as well, right? Each morning gives us a new opportunity and a new start to get things going and, you know, try and fix what we want to fix. I just want to pick up on a few points you made there about how you tested lyrics. I think that's an incredible way. I think you're the first person I've kind of like heard that from. It's very neat. So I just wanted to comment on that. A second takeaway is, so there's a certain level of heart put into your music. During the writing process, I know it might be therapeutic and even cathartic for you to write like that. Do you ever feel that there are times where you're putting a lot into your music? Do you ever get scared that during your writing process that you're putting way too much, or how, like, I want to know how you get to deal with, oh, should I share this much or should I hold back a little? How much should I give?
I get that doing a post on Instagram.
Okay.
But you know what? I've gone through a lot of crazy things in my life, and I think if you're not going deep, you're doing yourself and the song a disservice. And the next song to come out is that. It is everything on the table in its rawest form. And although I struggle at times to want to be as transparent and share, even telling the stories of the relationship, like the fact that Do Over Before and Before You Leave are about the same person and about a relationship. I mean, like, I've tried to not sugarcoat what that was and how rough it was for me. And I mean, I think that's where the golden nugget is, and that's the juice, is where people really start to attach to that authenticity and that realness. And in this world, there's so much fake news and fake things and emotions and people just trying to be something that they're not. And I'm really trying my hardest to just give what's right and what feels good and be as authentic as I can. And I think I'm doing myself a disservice to the songs if I'm not providing that in the lyric, or like sonically it's not coming through. Like, you really got to drive that home. So that's super important to me in all aspects of my career as an artist.
I hear you. And I'm just going to push farther on this topic just a little bit. Do you see it as a responsibility at any point in offering that in a certain sense that people can key into that? Do you see it as a responsibility as an artist to give that much so that it might be of use to somebody else? And you'd be shortchanging the process if you didn't go, like you said, all in. If you're not going to be all in, then why do it at all? Do you see it as?
I'm not a hero by any means, and I don't want it to come off that way. Like, I'm not changing the world here. I mean, I always make the joke, like, we're not doing open heart surgery. We're not saving but like loosely, like, yeah, it is our responsibility as artists to share what's real. I mean, we've been given the gift to write songs and sing them and have a platform to do so. And I think that goes part and parcel to like things like mental health and disease and illness, what's going on in the world. Like, if you have a platform, you should use it. And I know even me, I haven't done a good job of that yet. I think I'm getting there, and I'm starting to really identify the things that I feel passionate enough about that I can share my perspective on and my experience and be a voice for other people. So yeah, I think that there is a little bit of a level of responsibility, but I think you also have to be humble enough to know that sometimes you're not always the expert in something. That's kind of but yeah, I do think that there's a bit of a responsibility to be authentic so that other people can connect with the music more and feel like they're a part of the journey as well.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about the last 15 months or so, because it would seem that your career has taken off at a time when people would consider isn't the best time in the world, right? How have you been able to manage all of the craziness that has gone on in the last 15 months or thereabout, with the changes that has happened so rapidly in your life? How have you able to, make sense of it all? And what is this time? What does it mean for you that you're taking off even at a time where it is a downtime for the world, but you're taking off regardless? How would you describe that?
Well, first off, taking off, that's generous. Thank you so much. I have taken off by any means, but in March I did a showcase for the BC Country Music Association Breakthrough Project, and that was my like coming out party as like my new music and what was going off for me. And I didn't do that competition for the competition. I did it to get back into the country music industry here and in the community. Then the pandemic happened. I kind of like planned out my year. I'd started booking shows for the year and wanted to immerse myself in the community here. And the pandy, which threw a complete panini in our lives, like it's upside down until I realized it was an opportunity. And I fell upon an app called We Should Write Sometime, which is like a Tinder-based style app. It came out of Nashville, and you can geo-target to where you want to be, essentially, with a fee. And I was like, I have more time. Like I have a full-time job. Like I'm working, but I still, because of all the uncertainty in the world, business just kind of slowed. So I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity to connect with some songwriters. And when I've connected with some Nashville people to write, they're less interested in the Zoom world, but now nobody has a choice. So this is an opportunity to be like, hey, you can't avoid me now. I'm here. And you got to be on Zoom, so you may as well be on Zoom with me. So right some time I started swiping, and I connected with so many people who then have kind of thrown me into this incredible world, amazing songwriters across Canada and the US. And now these people are some of my closest friends and my confidants and my go-tos in terms of my music world. And for me, the pandemic turned out to be one of the best things ever, because it space, the connections, the opportunity to dive into all of the things I've been wanting to do. And it also gave me the time to promote my music, to sit down on my laptop for 8 hours a day beyond work and push to record labels, push to radio, push to blogs. Like I got the opportunity to put the work in, and we had nowhere to go. So what else were we going to do? So I really got the chance to dive into my music more than ever. And, you know, it sucks we can't be out playing. And, I mean, I had this vision. I was like, I'm going to be trying to get on all the festival circuits this year. I'm going to be down in Nashville doing writers' rounds. I'm going to do all these things. Yeah. Well, that's just on pause. We're going to go back to normal life. And, I mean, in the last month, I've been on Clubhouse a lot and connecting with Nashville people there and trying to really expand my network even further beyond the songwriting, so that when I go to these different places, I can say, hey, I'm coming to town. I would love to do a round. Like, can we co-write? Can we do this? Can we just grab a drink and eat food and laugh about the industry? And honestly, this pandemic has been a blessing in disguise for me. I think from a growth perspective, like it's tapped into some emotional, mental health things that I never thought were a problem. And I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic in the sense that I was able to utilize that time wisely and like make it the best that it could be for me. Obviously, it's done awful things to our world in many ways, but I've been very fortunate in this whole kind of last year to take the time to really launch my career as an artist and launch this new music in the best way possible.
No, that's brilliant. I think what I take away from that, and you wouldn't be the first person to share that sentiment, but it's just amazing that in the midst of chaos, that you can still find those little pockets of sunshine and be able to tap into them. And I think that's just amazing that we constantly keep our eyes out for those little pockets, even in the darkest of times, so good for you. I'm very excited at all of this beautiful things that are happening to you. I just want to talk about Before You Leave, and then we'll talk about if both songs are going to be a part of a larger EP that you're working towards, and when it's going to be coming out. But the other single you have right now on Spotify, and which I've listened to all day long, is Before You Leave. Now, when preparing for this, I just listened to that song like 1,000 times. But yes, Before You Leave, tell me about it.
Yeah, so I wrote Before You Leave with Marcus Ramsey, who's based here in BC as well, or Vancouver area. I went up to Squamish where he lives, and I was going in a session with him, and I was like, it was with the same guy. Things were just like, it was all going to hell in a handbasket, and I feel it coming. Like energetically, it was like, there's something not right here, and I couldn't do about it. And one of the things I had said to Marcus was like, I just wish he'd tell me all the things he's not telling me. Mm-hmm. Honestly. And all I wanted at the time was for him to come forward with the honesty, the dishonesty, whatever. Honestly, if he was like, I have a stomach ache, I would have been happy hearing some type of emotion, and I wasn't getting anything from him. And so the hook of it is all like, say all the things you never said to me before you leave.
Before you leave, yeah.
I'm gonna end, and all I wanted was that perspective and honesty, and I just wasn't getting it. And so we wrote that, and it was like about 6 months before the breakup actually happened. So, and I let him listen to it, and he was not jazzed about it. And I was like, it's not about you, I promise. But it was. And I mean, it came from such an honest place in my heart at the time. And sonically quite different than Do Over. And I wanted to have a bit more of a pop element to it just because of how the song was. And I wanted it to be conversational because a lot of what was going on was just based off of our phones. And everything was so quick and so fast. And I wanted that to come through not only in the lyrics, but in music. And I feel like we did a pretty good job of that. Yeah, I love that song so much, and I want to do more with it, and I can't wait to play that song out. Like, there's so many things I want to do with it, but jazzed about it. It's doing well on radio. We've had some years, which is unreal. We have a couple emerging rotations going on. Super grateful, and I mean, I think that having some good traction from Do Over, and then Before You Leave being a bit more radio friendly and a little bit more up tempo, I think it's a good kind of balance between the two. And then the next one that's coming is gonna hurt people.
Well, I thought you were going to drop a title just now, so I was like,
I can't. I almost did it. I just like I can't.
I was perking up my ears. I'm like, she's gonna say it. She's gonna.
I want to so bad. I'm the worst at keeping secrets, which is like really tough for me. And this one is going to be completely random. There's no timeline. Well, there isn't. And I'm so bad at keeping secrets. I want to talk about it so bad.
Well, that's a good thing. It means that it's a good record, and I am looking forward to it. So are we working towards an EP here?
Yeah, so that's kind of in the works right now. I'm sort of deciding on songs. Some of this is really going to depend on how the next song does, because again, it is a little bit different. But yeah, we've been writing our tails off. Like the whole team of people and writers that I work with, we're writing 2 songs a day most days, and I'm sitting on a lot of really great stuff. And I think once I figure out what songs are sitting the most with me and the ones that I can't get out of my head, that's what I'll probably come forward with. And I'm really hoping to get an EP out by the end of the year. That's the goal right now. We're pushing for it. But I'm excited. I'm just like so jazzed to be in the world and like talking with people like you and sharing, the fun stuff that goes on. And yeah, oh man, I just love making music. I love writing sad songs and like telling people about my heartbreak. And man, like one person could listen and I would be so jazzed about it. And you're one person, so I'm jazzed.
No, but so again, I think we're just coming full circle here. The way you talk about music, it's just like it's like you breathe it, right? Like it's like you. I love that. I love to see that. I am a fan. I am looking forward to that EP at the end of the year. Whenever it drops, I am going to be looking out for it. Parker Graye, I think. Like I said, you caught my attention. I think you're a fantastic writer. More than anything else, I love lyrics. So I listen to the music behind the lyrics, but I also listen to how it is written. And there's certain things that you do on Do Over that I'm like, okay, you could have gone with 1,000 different options, but mixing words the way you do, I think is fantastic and it's brilliant. Again, I couldn't sing your praise enough. I want you to let us know where we can find your music and where we can get in touch with you and all the things that are going, so that we can keep following you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first off, like I'm with you. I'm such a lyricist. Like, and I mean, obviously, because I write songs, but I listen to the lyrics and I read the lyrics almost before anything. I want to, how do I say something differently? Like something so simple, like this is a cup. How do I say this is a cup differently? Like
Yeah.
and I can't take all the credit. Like I have amazing co-writers around me that we do this and we will look at a line for 15 minutes and try to figure out, can we, and I think it's this constant pursuit of how do we be better and how do we do things differently. And I think that that's what's so interesting about the art of co-writing and writing songs is you can find a bajillion and one ways to say something. And with you, I'm like obsessed about it. So hello, fellow lyricist. Word. In terms of where you can find me, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not doing an uber great job on TikTok yet, but I'm really striving to be better because that's where all the cool people seem to be. YouTube, I think I might have said that. Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all of the streaming platforms, all my music is there, and that's where everything will be going forward. Yeah, come slide into my DMs. Tell me if my songs make you sad. Anything. Share my sound because that's a thing now.
And we just search for you, Parker Graye. That's it, right? Parker Graye.
That is my @Parker Graye is the handle for everything. YouTube, I don't have enough followers yet to have my own URL. So if you got YouTube, go hit me with a follow. Yeah. Thank you so much. This makes me so happy inside and like you and getting the opportunity to, share some of my story, and thank you for doing what you do and supporting us artists. Cause honestly, without people like you, we would just be probably hiding TikTok or Instagram, and you giving us the opportunity to talk with you and the questions you ask and the things you point out, like we don't think about some of that stuff. Like we're just like talking smack about the fact that we love music. So we couldn't do what we do without you either. So thank you so much for this and you and your soul, your platform, your amazing. Thank you.
Okay, by a long mile, you are one of my favorite interviews I've had. And again, I said this, so I am not mistaken. I wasn't mistaken when I talked about your energy and just your personality. And there isn't a better way to end this. So I'll say this. I strongly believe that you have a bright career ahead of you. We're going to keep watching and we're going to keep supporting you the best way we can. I want to see you perform on stage. So when all of this craziness is over, whether it's in BC or you make a trip back home to Ontario or wherever, I'm sincerely looking forward to seeing you performing on stage. But beyond that, I think that you have a space and the Canadian country music scene. And of course, the evidence is there already with what you've done with Do Over and Before You Leave Me. So I'm going to keep watching you, going to keep watching for your success. But I am very grateful and honored that you took out time to talk to us today. So thank you so much.
You're gonna make me cry. Holding back tears. This is like, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to you and your platform and your followers. I can't wait to share this out with the rest of the world. This has been a beautiful conversation. Can't wait to see you in Ontario. You'll be front row, back to rock the heck out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Parker Graye. Have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too. Thanks
Take
so
care.
much.